Welcome to Excellence in Peer Review Tina and Francis Training Network. This module will cover several frequently asked questions. The first question is, should peer review detect unethical behavior of the authors? Based on Tina and Francis author survey, the most important peer review outcomes are improving quality, checking methodology, and providing polite feedback. Detecting unethical behavior was not highlighted as a key outcome. Peer review is not primarily to detect misconduct or unethical behavior, and is not the most efficient or effective way to detect these issues. As a reviewer, you should not feel pressure for detecting these types of issues, and you do not need to investigate by yourself. But as a reviewer, you are looking closely at the article and you are actively doing research in the same field, so you might see things that others have missed. What kind of potential problems are we talking about? They could be classified as research misconduct and publishing misconduct. Research misconduct includes deliberately made up data or changed data, reuse without appropriate citations of the original source, or any concerns about treatment of patients or participants or animals. And for the publishing misconduct, it refers to the submitting the same paper to more than one journal at the same time, or publishing very similar manuscript by splitting a single study into several segments, or the things such as improper author contribution or attribution, or undeclared conflict of interest. If you have concerns about potential problems, you should contact the journal editors immediately. When you raise the concern to the editor, please provide evidence or information you have clearly and use neutral wording. Please don't try to contact the author by yourself, and don't accuse the author when you share your concern with the editor. Again, you don't need to investigate in detail. The journal will take actions needed. The second question is, can reviewers suggest that authors cite their own work? To answer this question, you should know first how to assess the reference of an article. When assessing reference, the reviewer should look for four things. First, relevance. Reference should represent current knowledge in the field. Based on your own understanding about the research field, you should check out if critical citations or most relevant citations are missing. The second thing is accuracy. You should consider whether the referenced paper reports what the author claimed. Are there any mistakes? The third thing is adequacy. Any statement of fact or description of previous findings requires a supporting reference, including work which conflicts with author's perspective. As a reviewer, you should check whether all such statements in the manuscript are supported by accurate citations. The last thing is balance. On one hand, you should pay particular attention to excessive self-citation by the authors. On the other hand, you should not request citations for your own work which is not relevant. So back to the question, can reviewers suggest their own works? The answer is yes, but only if it is relevant. Here is an example of real open review report, which published on F1000 research. In the report, The reviewer mentioned that there are some new studies they think the authors should cite and gave the detailed examples. The reviewer is also professional and didn't suggest their own work. Here is a short quiz. Please read all the statements first and select the correct one. Please check the pause button if you need to. Okay, let's check out the result. Did you get them all right? There is one of the statements which is also important to clarify. The one which says it's okay if 19% of the references cite the current author's work. It's wrong, obviously, but less than 19% is still not okay. All the citations should be balanced. The third question here is, should the reviewer correct spelling and grammar? In general, reviewers are not responsible for correcting spelling and grammar errors in a paper. You don't need to spend your time on copy editing. Usually the journal will do that. But in real situations, there are different approaches you might take. The worst situation is that after you read the manuscript, you'll find that it's difficult to understand due to the language or quality of presentation. The situation should be unusual as journal editors will usually have addressed serious issues with the authors before peer review. In this case, you could consider recommending rejection or suggest that the editor asked for revisions before further review takes place. Alternatively, if you find there are some statements not easily readable, but you can understand the meaning of the article, you could recommend language policy in your review report. Finally, if you find just a few spelling and grammar issues, you can ignore them, since there are likely be a copy editing step prior to publication. As an author, if you need, you could use the editing service provided by Taylor and Francis to improve your own manuscript. The last question in this video is, how should a reviewer assess a review or opinion article? We all know that, besides original research article, there are other types of article published in journal. When you receive a review invitation letter, you should know what kind of article you need to review. For example, a review article is a summary of current state of knowledge. So when you assess this kind of article, you should pay attention to the scientific or research accuracy. Do the authors provide a balanced and comprehensive view of the field? You could also check if the conclusion is new. Do the authors provide his or her own viewpoint or just a summary of the previous publications? By construct, opinion articles should provide the author's personal perspective on a point. You should focus on whether these ideas make sense within their research context. Meanwhile, the authors should still give a fair discussing of the state of the field. For example, is the author's view based on current knowledge and contribute to the research field? And is the article well argued? If you're still unsure how to review this kind of article, you should check the instruction for authors on the journal homepage, which will give a requirement for different article types of authors. You could refer during the assessment.